I will describe in detail the 13th verse of Chapter 1, Prathapadesh, Rasamarna, of Rasaratnakara, Rasayankhand. To truly grasp the profound, highly specific instructions contained within verses like this one, we really need to explore the massive, systematic blueprint it belongs to. We're looking at a fascinating 1939 published edition of what is essentially a timeless pursuit of physical perfection. Okay, let's dive into this. What you're seeing right now is the actual title page of that 1939 edition, part of the Haridas Sanskrit series. This is the Rasayankhanda, which is the fourth part of the much larger Rasaratnakara, authored by Sri Nityananda Siddha. And honestly, just looking at this beautifully preserved title page, you can immediately sense the historical weight of the document. Right off the bat, you realize this isn't just some random collection of folklore. It's a strictly structured, procedural manual, written by someone widely considered a true master of this esoteric craft. So, to make sense of this dense text, we're going to break this explainer down into 5 parts. 1. The quest for dahasity. 2. Preparing the human vessel. 3. The mastery of Mercury. 4. Ancient alchemical formulations. And finally, 5. The legacy of the Rasaratnakara. Let's start right at the beginning. Section 1. The quest for dahasity. You might be wondering, what exactly were these ancient alchemists actually after? Well, the answer is dahasiddhi. This foundational Sanskrit concept translates to the ultimate pursuit of bodily perfection, extreme longevity, and literally physical immortality. It's a massive goal, right? And this entire manuscript is effectively a highly detailed, step-by-step blueprint designed to achieve that exact state. To see how central this idea is, just look at the opening page of Chapter 1. See the Sanskrit verses right at the top? That's the Mangalacharanam. Before any chemical recipes or formulas are even mentioned, the text immediately starts by praising dahasity. It explicitly extols the virtues of a perfected, disease-free body. The author is basically setting the intention right away, letting the reader know that completely eradicating wrinkles, gray hair, and illness, that's the holy grail of all the work that follows. Moving on to Section 2, Preparing the Human Vessel. Now, you couldn't just whip up these ancient elixirs and drink them right down. The manuscript draws a really sharp contrast here. An impure body is considered completely unable to safely absorb these powerful alchemical formulas. In fact, it would be downright dangerous. The purified body, on the other hand, has been cleansed through incredibly strict regimens and is finally ready for true alchemical transformation. Without this intensive detoxification phase, the whole process was a no-go. So what did this intense preparation actually look like in practice? Well, to keep this complex text a bit more accessible, let's break down the demands. It required severe lifestyle changes. We're talking strict dietary restrictions, exactly what to eat and what to avoid. Practitioners had to take specific herbs purely for internal cleansing. It also mandated avoiding certain physical behaviors and sticking to highly disciplined daily routines before a single drop of an elixir was ever consumed. And this brilliantly illustrates just how deep those requirements went. Looking closely at the organization here, the text dives into the specific rules for bodily purification. It explicitly bans everyday ingredients like radish and garlic. It even dictates exact sleep schedules, strongly advising against daytime sleeping and excessive worry. Basically, it demanded a total, holistic overhaul of the practitioner's entire way of life. Which brings us to Section 3, the mastery of Mercury. To really understand the chemistry here, we have to define a word you'll see constantly throughout this text, paradat. Paradat is mercury, but in this ancient Indian tradition, mercury wasn't just another metal. It was considered a uniquely powerful, absolutely central element to everything they did. The catch? The text fully acknowledges that raw mercury is highly toxic. So to use it, it required incredibly intense, multi-stage purification processes to safely kill its toxicity and unlock its purported rejuvenating powers. This brings us right to how this theory translates into actual grueling practice. Remember that 13th verse we mentioned at the start? It's part of these exact procedures. Here we see densely packed verses detailing paradamanosya, literally the incineration of mercury. The author lays out mathematically precise, multi-day processes that were absolutely required to process the parad. Distilling a dense page of Sanskrit into simple stops, the process generally flowed like this. Step 1, vigorously rubbing the raw mercury with highly acidic medicinal plant juices and specific herbs. Step 2, taking that mixture and heating it in specialized sealed clay devices called yantras, often using slow-burning cow dung fires. Step 3, repeatedly combining it with elements like sulfur and mineral ashes over many days or even weeks. Honestly, the sheer labor and time dedicated to mastering this single ingredient is just staggering to think about. Next up, Section 4, Ancient Alchemical Formulations. If you want to grasp just how extensive this ancient apothecary really was, just look at this index. It really highlights the sheer volume of their experimental work. There are dozens upon dozens of specific formulations listed here, and they're highly organized and categorized, each with a unique name, like Vajrapanjara Rasa or Udayaditya Rasa, and each one is carefully formulated to address very different aspects of vitality, disease, or the aging process. Now, across all these numerous recipes, certain ingredients pop up constantly. We already know purified mercury is the undisputed star of the show, but it is almost always paired directly with sulfur. You also frequently see aloe, diverse metallic ashes, like heavily incinerated iron, copper, or mica, and highly specific botanical roots and fruit juices, which were used to bind all these heavy minerals together into consumable pills or powders. Let's look closely at the details here. What we're seeing are the specific recipes for formulations specifically designed for vitality and rejuvenation. The text is incredibly meticulous, detailing exact ratios. 1 part this, 3 parts that. It imparts recipes for rasanana, meant to rebuild the body's fundamental tissues, and vajakarna, which were potent aphrodisiacs intended to drastically increase physical vigor. We are literally looking at the exact step-by-step instructions an ancient practitioner would follow to the letter. And the promises tied to these recipes, they were nothing short of miraculous. To summarize the translation of these historical claims, through these rigorous alchemical practices, the text claims one could conquer aging, eradicate disease, and attain immense vitality. Now, obviously, we have to view this through a strictly historical lens today, but you absolutely cannot help but be fascinated by the sheer ambition and drive of these early chemists. Finally, Section 5, Legacy of the Rasaratnakara. So the crucial point here is how we frame this text today. This is a profound window into ancient philosophy and early experimental chemistry. It shows us a highly sophisticated, deeply systematic approach to understanding the natural world. But keeping that distinction clear is key. It allows us to totally marvel at their historical ingenuity without mistakenly conflating it with a modern medical manual. Right here, at the very end, we see the closing colophon of the Rasayankhand, wrapping up this absolutely massive compendium of knowledge. It marks the end of a tremendous, lifelong effort by Sri Nityanatha Siddha to meticulously document, categorize, and preserve the closely guarded alchemical secrets of his era. It really is a powerful testament to a deeply held belief that human beings, through strict discipline and the manipulation of nature, could transcend their physical limits. Which leaves us with a truly fascinating thought to end on. How has humanity's quest to conquer aging and achieve longevity evolved from this ancient alchemy to our modern scientific research? I mean, thousands of years ago, brilliant minds were grinding minerals in clay pots, desperately hoping for physical immortality. Today, we have geneticists and longevity researchers using AI and supercomputers with that exact same goal in mind: more life, better health. The tools and methods have completely transformed, but that underlying human desire, that hasn't changed a bit. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this sparked your curiosity to dive deep.